So we're gonna get started. So thank you everybody for being here again. This is a really, really exciting time. Usually when I get inspired to do like a workshop or a class or something, it's from my spirit team. So if just for like a little introduction into what I do, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified hypnotherapist, but also to an intuitive channel and like I do tarot readings and things like that. Usually my spirit team will give me information and they will guide me to like the next workshop or the next class for me to do. And this particular transition from Pluto moving from Capricorn into Aquarius for some reason has been like on my radar because of my spirit team. So there's a lot of things going on astrologically speaking, but this is the one that I got the most, pinged about to be doing like a class or something about. So we will dive into. So okay, let's look at Pluto for a second. And please, this might be a little boring in the beginning. It depends on what you're interested in. It might be a little bit like kind of tiny bit boring just because I'm going to give you a little bit of history, but it gets exciting. So stick with me, okay? So Pluto, from the eyes of mythology, is the same as Hades. So Pluto is like the god of the underworld and the realm of the dead. And so we're gonna like meld all these things together. Like, why is Pluto important? What was the deal with Capricorn? Why, like, what's the big deal with it going into Aquarius? So we're gonna break all of that down. And mind you, the deeper we get, like, there's not enough time to cover all the things to understand why this is so important and why this is like a huge thing for all of us to be paying attention to. But let's just start here. So Pluto, mythologically speaking, is the same as Hades. It's like the god of the underworld, the realm of the dead. So it reveals things that have been hidden beneath the surface, both literally and metaphorically. Pluto represents transformation, huge transformation, death and rebirth. And it governs the underworld, so the passage between life and death, and separating or departing from old ways and moving into new ways. So awakening. So it's gonna sound redundant, but there's a lot of these themes that are so huge that we just have to repeat. So it also works in the dark with the shadows and the mystery, and it reveals often what's been hidden. Astrologically speaking, Pluto is a huge catalyst for change, right? Because it's about death and rebirth. So it brings newness. It brings a fresh perspective. Pluto also governs authority, power dynamics, and control. So we're going to see how that's affected us over the last 20 years while it's been in Capricorn, and what could it potentially shift for us on an individual level and also a global level, in terms of like power, control, the world, the governments, like things like that. So Pluto reveals hidden layers and secrets in the unconscious being unearthed. And think about it this way, it's also about the subconscious. So what is it in the shadow of ourselves, like our inner healing, our inner work? What is it that we've been kind of suppressing, not looking at, not healing, like old wounds? So astrologically speaking, Pluto also brings those things to the surface so that we can have further healing, so that we can understand ourselves more, and so that ultimately we can transform. So that's what that means. So Pluto invites us to shed old patterns, confront imbalances, reclaim our autonomy. Pluto's energy is quite intense. It's quite powerful, intense. So it's not like it's not often a gentle change. It can be like a intense, I don't want to scare you guys, but it could be like a through crisis, through huge challenges to make us awaken, because it's a huge death and a rebirth. But those aren't always the gentlest. So through upheaval and things like that. So as the ruler of life cycles, Pluto's energy mirrors the process of letting go. clearing space for regeneration and new growth. So I love this last sentence. It's the force that compels us to confront and overcome our shadows, emerging renewed. So, okay. Pluto has been in Capricorn for quite some time. It's moving into Aquarius on the 19th. That's Tuesday. So we're still in Capricorn right now, but we're already like some people kind of feel the changes a little bit earlier. So we're moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. And then when we actually move into Aquarius, we will stay there until January 19th, 2044. 2040. That's a long. And then after that, Pluto leaves Aquarius permanently because there will be a little bit of like a retrograde movement, like moving and shifting signs for just a short amount of time in the 20 years. But then on January 19th, 2044, it will actually go into Pisces and then stay there permanently. And then there's a whole meaning for that. So let's look for a second at what is Capricorn? Like why is this, significant? Also too, I just want to side note that I am not an astrologer. I researched the shit out of this stuff. So I don't necessarily have like all the answers to all these things, but these are definitely things that I did a deep dive. And again, my spirit team like highlighted this for me. So that's why the focus is on this. Okay, so Capricorn, what was kind of the themes of Capricorn? Capricorn themes revolve around systems and upholding the system. So Capricorn is an earth sign. So themes around building and maintaining systems that uphold society, balancing ambition with responsibility, creating structures that endure. So when Pluto moved into Capricorn, there was huge transformation and upheaval when it came to like dismantling old systems and preparing for obviously new, like challenging of the old ways and bringing in the new. So you're going to see that theme no matter what Pluto's in. But with Capricorn, because Capricorn is so much of like a grounded, steady, just so kind of energy and vibe, that it came and it was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. So now that we know a bit about that, let's look at actually, like quite literally, what did from 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn until now, what actually happened. And I'm going to breeze through these. And if you guys want, this actual presentation, I can email it to you if you're like really interested in what these different things are. But let's look at how Pluto and Capricorn actually affected us since 2008. And if the year 2008 doesn't already ring a bell for you, well, buckle up. Okay, so 2008 was a global financial crisis. So Pluto entering Capricorn in 2008 coincided with this huge global economic meltdown that happened. Its transformative influence affected finances, the established like banking system and banking and financial institutions. We saw a huge change because there was a rise in cryptocurrency. Like this shit actually is real. Like, let me give you a kind of a side note too. One of the reasons why I got so interested in this is because I sort of was like, I believe in astrology, I do, but I want to understand why. Like, how can this planet and what sign it's in, how does that actually affect us? Like, how is this real? And then when you like dive into it, it's like, holy shit, wow. You kind of can't deny this stuff. You know what I mean? So again, from 2008 to now, these are the other ways that it's influenced because it was in Capricorn. The Arab Spring happened. So in terms of government and power, it affected this huge like upheaval in revolution, basically, in different parts of the world. One being the Arab Spring. I don't know if you guys remember where there were all these protests and just huge changes in North Africa and the Middle East in terms of, challenging the government, challenging the system, which is what Pluto is about and what Capricorn wanted to stabilize. Brexit happened in 2016, where the UK voted to leave the EU. Just, I mean, there's just like a lot of looking at the governmental systems and going, is this really what we want to still do? And then there were other global scandals and whatnot in terms of corporations. But there was also a huge boom in the last like 20 years with Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. So there's been like literally challenging the systems in which we do like business. Because if I don't know, like the year 2000, if anyone said, hey, like you could get a ride with somebody that is a stranger and they'll take you somewhere, you just pay them a little bit of money, you'd be like, what? Ew, no, that's what the heck, no, that's so scary, right? Well, but now it's so normal, right? Like, so these kinds of things, or hey, why don't you just like, I could rent my house out for maybe like the weekend. What? Like, we didn't think about those things before. So that's where we're at now. Other societal shifts that we saw in the last 20 years, the Me Too movement, which brought a huge wave of vulnerability. So on the front of like emotional shifts and emotional changes too. And then hello, COVID happened. Like COVID and that the whole pandemic definitely disrupted the norms that we thought this is what we do, this is how we do things, right? Like in terms of how we respond on a communal level, societal level, global level. So many things underwent like catastrophic transformation, including the school systems too. So we're kind of like we're plugging along, right? So, and then also there was a huge wave of focus on climate change, and now we're talking about that more than we did before like pre 2008. I mean, not that it wasn't a topic, but came really into focus. So anyways, I'm just going to breeze through this. So now we're going into Aquarius. So what does that even mean? Like how does this shift really affect us? So we saw how it has affected us, right? Very specifically because of the nature of Capricorn and Pluto coming in and being like, yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to like completely challenge society and systems in so many different ways. And we're still going to see that. We're going to see that in the next 20 years too. Of course, it's just kind of, you can expect that. But more specifically, how is it going to be in Aquarius? So Aquarius is the sign of innovation and progress as well. Aquarius, do you guys hear the neighbors playing outside? You don't hear the kids? Okay. If you do, let me know and I'll close like the windows like this open. But okay, so Aquarius is characterized by forward thinking, and it's kind of rebellious in nature, and that Aquarius it really enjoys the uniqueness of things. So if we're bringing this kind of vibe into the discussion, it can, again, bring about like, it's like doubling down, because Pluto is all about transformation and Aquarius also challenges things just naturally. Aquarius is like that. So if we combine those two things, that can be monumentous. But then more specifically, Aquarius focuses on what's good for the collective. It's not just an individual thing. What is good for the collective? Aquarius seeks new and inventive ways of thinking and problem solving. Again, this is Aquarius on its own. So this kind of sounds like Pluto as well. But so Aquarius looks at how can we break free from the old systems and implement something that brings more equality, that serves the community. Aquarius resists conformity and celebrates uniqueness, challenges the status quo, thrives on shaking things up that no longer serve humanity, similar to already Pluto. Aquarius is deeply conserved with the progress of the collective as a whole. So less individualistic, more collective. Okay, so more specifically, Pluto has this huge, it's like a force, right, of transformation, of death and rebirth. And then Aquarius is energy of sorry about that, energy of innovation also challenges all of this as its own because of its own like vibration. So Pluto's intensity breaks down structures, and Aquarius introduces futuristic ideas to replace them. We're going to look at how we're redefining things from individual to community. So together, they'll challenge traditional power dynamics and create spaces where personal freedom and the collective can coexist. So we're more than likely going to see a shit ton of further technological advancements, more social revolutions. And this is not like, I'm not predicting this. It's just sort of like based on these two energies combined, what could we potentially anticipate? So shifts in global consciousness towards more equality, more justice. So on a personal level too, it's going to invite more self-discovery, more re-examination of self. Because again, we're looking at what is hidden in the shadows. What is it that I'm not really acknowledging, that I've suppressed? And Aquarius being like, how can we pull that part out? But it served not only you, but the collective. So yeah. Okay, so here are some anticipated events. Again, not predictions, just anticipated potential events. Major breakthroughs in AI, quantum computing, robotics. Like we could definitely see a huge in the next 20 years, and that's a lot of time. We've done a lot in a much shorter amount of time. So in the next 20 years, we will probably see huge advancements, huge changes in maybe space exploration. Also too, like the ethics surrounding like AI and data privacy, like a lot of that stuff too, like just technology as a whole. Because again, Aquarius looks at like, is this ethical? Is this good for the whole, for the community as at large? So that'll also be looked at. More movement towards like grassroots collecting, demanding systems to, I mean, gathering and demanding systemic reform in government for human rights. More advocacy for minority groups. Again, like there could be a potential dismantling of like governmental structures, maybe decentralizing leadership in some ways. Potentially, we could see that. And again, so a bigger push towards what is best for the collective. And that may also include income and wealth redistribution. Just saying it's possible. So health systems, we might see some changes in terms of public health and how we can incorporate, again, because Aquarius is like futuristic, right? So how can we incorporate AI for different, to our benefit, right? So from diagnosing to, I mean, again, this is speculation, but I'm just saying like from diagnosing to other things that could be potentially catapult us as a society forward while keeping in mind the greater good. So again, moving from individualistic to collectivistic approach. So we could see more advancements in like biotechnology, biohacking, personalized medicine. So let's see what happens in the next 20 years. This probably is my personal favorite out of, I mean, all the other stuff's great, but this is super exciting to me, is like the cosmic stuff. I don't know if you guys have been like paying attention lately, recently, but the government's finally acknowledging some shit about non-terrestrial beings, and that is a huge focal point here. We're shifting from, oh no, we don't talk about that, that's not acceptable in the government, we're all going to just pretend that that doesn't exist, right? To, well, actually there was a TikTok video, and well, actually yes, I mean we do. And now the whole thing about, yeah, they live in our oceans. So there could be more, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably there's going to be more UAPs. They're probably collectively, like, again, because think it's less individualized and it's more collectivistic. So death of the old ways, death of the old systems, and a rebirthing, a transformation of things. So we could potentially, because the narrative's already changing. We're already seeing that the narrative is already more metamorphosizing. So on a societal level too, this could bring about more interconnectedness in humanity, which is very exciting. So more love, connection, more peace is really the hope. Okay, so again, in terms of like apps and whatnot, we can also see a rise in peer-to-peer platforms. So like non-traditional kinds of ways of how money is being used or exchanged, and also like business wise, just the innovations, just like how we saw with Uber and Lyft and Airbnb, just going. I mean, I have no idea what that could look like, but something even further beyond that maybe we haven't even thought about. Okay, so here's the thing. We are only literally talking about one planet and one sign. You guys are so much shit happening right now. And this is just a couple examples. Just a couple examples. And we could literally do a dive into each of these. Jupiter in retrograde. Jupiter is going to be in retrograde until the end of December. So that means something. And it's in Taurus, so that means something. And like astrology is so complex and like layered that you peel one and you read into it and you're like, oh, well, that affects this. But then when you apply it to yourself and where everything is in your own birth chart, it's like, I wish you could get a PhD in this because it's just like, it's so fascinating and there's so many layers to it, and it can reveal so much not only about yourself and about what you can anticipate, and it can explain things, but also not just individually, but again, globally and collectively. So yeah, so here's just a couple examples. Also, Mercury retrograde, we're in the shadow period. So there's that. Neptune retrograde until December 6th. It's in Pisces, but it'll stay in Pisces for a while too. It's just crazy how each of these sentences, these little blurbs, there's like a wealth of information for each of these, which is really bananas. Okay, cool. Now we're going to get into like the individual, more individual stuff. Okay. So we're going to look at sun, moon, and rising. Has anyone not heard of that? And it's okay, just don't be shy. Has anyone not heard of sun, moon, and rising? Everybody knows? Okay. Well, because I don't want to spend too much time on it if everybody's like, yeah, I'm totally aware of what this is. So there's your sun sign is what you're born under, right? So I was born in August. I'm a Leo. So then I look at my sun sign to kind of explain as a Leo, blah, blah, blah. So it's more like my identity, my core identity, my ego, like kind of like it says in bold, the conscious self, the traits that I naturally express. And then we've got the ascendant or your rising, which is on the bottom part. This is more how the external views you, like what's like their first impression of you, and your appearance. So the mask that you wear when you meet other people and your approach to life. So the rising sign shapes how other people perceive you, and how you start new things. So it's like the lens in which you interact with the world. So that's why that's really interesting too, in order to further be able to interpret what's about to come in the next slides. So, and then your moon is like your emotional body. So how you process feelings, how you nurture yourself and nurture others, how we seek emotional security. It's more of like the private. So we think of the moon, we kind of think of like our inner world or what's hidden. So just keep those in mind. Because as we go, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Into the next slide, this is how then we can specifically look at this shift in context of our sun, moon, and rising. So we interpret your sun, moon, and rising, the next slides that we go through, interpret your sun sign with Pluto's influence as like shaping your direction and how you're aligning with your purpose, because that's more ego, that's more but it's also too oftentimes, I just want to like throw this in there too, oftentimes it's what we're developing as well. I'll just give you an example. I am a Leo, and if you know like the basic things that people say about Leos is like they like attention, or they're totally good with attention, and yes, I enjoy public speaking and all of that, but I'm a freaking introvert and I do not like attention. So if you analyze that with your sun sign, it's also what you're trying to overcome in this incarnation. So for example, Leos are great at that. I struggle with that. So it's like balancing and working on improving that part too. So then when we look at our rising sign, this is where Pluto will activate you most visibly. Okay, so when we're looking at this in the next slides, this can highlight like what you're on the outside, what people, when they interact with you, what this will activate in that way, if that makes sense. So it's the lens in which you are going to experience Pluto's transformative power, influencing your more of like your external circumstances and the first impressions that people get of you. I hope this makes sense. I know it kind of sounds confusing. Then that's your rising sign. So the bottom one is the rising. And then on the right, it's your moon sign. So Pluto's transit here signals deep emotional and psychological shifts. So you're gonna be looking for, how is Pluto going to be affecting my emotional security? Is everybody with me? Everybody okay? Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Not that I know that I'll be able to answer, but anybody want to say anything before we dive in? No, sorry, I have to scroll through to see all your faces. I see some shaking nose. No, nobody. Okay. Summer? Anything I see you squinting. Okay. Well, just let me know if anybody wants to chime in or ask anything. Oh wait, hold on. Oops. Okay, everybody's still with me. Yes, yeah. Okay. So now we start. So the way that I categorized everything is from the way the zodiac calendar goes. Okay, so we're gonna start with Aries. Aries is like the first sign in the and feel free to like tune out if this has nothing to do with you and you're not interested in like Aries, for example. If it has nothing to do with you, that's fine. But this is literally kind of like a mini predictive horoscope for what you can anticipate. So again, remember, sun, moon, rising, just kind of take note of it in which category it can affect you. And for Aries, Pluto is in your 11th house. That's a whole other freaking hour presentation on the houses, which like I can't even pretend that I know all the I don't know all the things, but the more I research and the more I dive into it, there's so much more to still uncover, and then put that puzzle piece into everything else and make it all make sense. It's so intricate. It's so intricate and it's fucking fascinating. But okay, so Aries, finances. Opportunities will arise from innovative collaborations, group investments, and technological ventures that align with your vision. Remember, everything here is a combo of Pluto moving into Aquarius, and then that being specific to the 11th house for Aries. So we're like mixing all the things, and that's how we got here. Okay. For love, transformations may occur in how you approach friendships and romance. You might find love within your social circle or experience shifts in your ideas around partnership or ideals about partnership. Career, networking is key to success. You may take on leadership roles within organizations or initiate groundbreaking projects with a team. So do you hear it? It's like more group oriented. It's not just like personal or individualistic. It's like, how do we now connect with others? Because Aquarius wants us to do that. And kind of like the old ways are dying off and the new ways are we're stepping into that. So, okay. So personal growth, this is a time to redefine your aspirations and social identity. Let go of old friendships that no longer align with your vision for the future. The house focus, because it's in the 11th house, this aligns with revealing things about community, your long-term goals. Aries will build lasting legacies through collaboration. Okay, I'm going to move on. Taurus. And you're going to notice the houses, it's going to go 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 8, all the way to 12. Any Tauruses in the house? What is Taurus, your sun, moon, or rising?
Rising.
Rising, okay. Did we have any Aries in the house? Sun, moon, or rising Aries?
Hey, Jzeela, can I ask you a question? It's Summer.
Hi, yes. Hopefully I can answer it. Yeah.
Are you basing this on, this must be someone as a Taurus rising, right? And this is then Pluto in their 10th house at their Taurus rising, right? This would be that?
This would be like, this is not specific. So these blurbs for each page is not only for your rising or only for your, you got to pull out what makes sense in the emotional body for your moon,
Okay.
pull out what makes sense for your, because that would have made it even longer of a presentation. So it's all just kind of clumped in together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Got it. Because I have a lot of Taurus. I'm a Taurus moon. Okay. I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry.
No need to apologize. So for Taurus, career transformations can be highlighted for you, bringing about financial shifts. And you may find yourself more in those kinds of technological, like innovations in technological fields. So things with apps and whatnot that make like business to peer-to-peer kind of businesses are making money that way. You might see that increasing for yourself. Relationships might intertwine with your career. Power dynamics and partnerships can surface, pushing you to balance love and ambition. So in career, major shifts in your public image and career path are likely. You might take a leadership position or revolutionize your industry. This transit encourages you to define success on your own terms and to embrace the power you hold in the public sphere. Again, this is because it's in your 10th house, this is bringing focus to your career, your legacy, and evolving more of like an authenticity in your professional role. So perhaps there's something that you're ignoring about what's important to you professionally or what you should be doing. This kind of brings this, let's take that out from the shadows and into the light so we can examine what is it that maybe you could be doing be more in alignment with you. Gemini, any Geminis in the house? I'm a Gemini moon. Anybody else?
Me, Jennifer.
You're a Gemini. Okay, cool. So this specifically for you, financial growth is tied to education, travel, and philosophical ventures with a focus on expanding global opportunities. So you might find yourself connecting in some way on a global scale that brings about financial wealth, but it will be connected to something in education. Relationships may evolve through shared philosophies or international connections. You might attract partners who challenge your worldview. Education, publishing, or global ventures could dominate your career path. You may discover a calling as a teacher or explorer of new frontiers. This period is about shedding outdated beliefs and embracing transformative knowledge. And all of this is in the scope of, again, because the ninth house deals with higher learning and travel and making time for like spiritual things and intellectual awakening. So for a Gemini sun, then we interpret this from that perspective of that one slide, right? Where this is like more your ego, who you are, how you're operating, your core. For me, Gemini being my moon, then I look at everything, the blurb that's written here, and I look at it through the lens of like my emotional body and how this is shifting things for me, death and rebirth in my emotional body with this focus. Okay, any Cancers in the house? You don't, if you are too shy, you don't have to say anything, but like if there are. So Cancers, deep shifts are occurring in your shared finances, investments, and debts, requiring you to focus on strategies for long-term security. Intimacy and shared resources in relationships are key themes. Vulnerability and trust will deepen connections or reveal fractures. So financial transformations may occur through investments, inheritances, or joint ventures. You may become adept at managing wealth and power. This is a profound time for psychological healing, addressing fears, and exploring the hidden realms of your psyche. Why? Because this is in your eighth house. In the eighth house governs transformation and shared resources. So Cancer is going to definitely go under a huge metamorphosis. I mean, we all are, but Leo. So my fellow Leos in the house. Any other Leos here? So business partnerships or marital ties will shape your financial picture as you navigate power dynamics in shared ventures. Partnerships undergo significant changes, so you'll attract intense, transformative connections that redefine your understanding of love. I'll just leave it for the end. Collaborations could either propel you to new heights or reveal where balance is needed in shared endeavors. This transit pushes you to find empowerment in relationships without losing your individuality. Why is it so heavy on this with the focal point of relationships? Is because it's in the seventh house. So the seventh house highlights marriage, partnerships, and a bunch of other things, but this is kind of like the focal point. And it urges us to, because of this transition, redefine like ourself in relation to others, in partnerships and relationships, in the like one-on-one dynamic. So not really losing, like being able to be yourself, basically. There's a lot of authenticity work happening. Okay, Virgo. Any Virgos? Oh, shout out to Virgos.
Me.
Okay, hello, Virgos. So for you, innovations in work routines and wellness may open new streams of income, especially in technology or health sectors. Healthier relationship patterns emerge as you let go of perfectionism in love. Not trying to throw shade at anyone, but you know, service-oriented partnerships may take center stage. You could become a master in your field or make transformative changes to your daily work routine. This period emphasizes self-improvement. Particularly through health and wellness practices. So this is in your sixth house, which focuses on routines, health and service, encouraging more balance and empowerment in daily life. Okay, Libra. Who are my Libras? I'm a Libra rising.
I'm a Libra sun, but I have a Leo rising. So
yeah, so take all those pieces and then, you know, like study it afterwards, because there's so much information for each. Again, it's so layered. Okay, so for the Libras in the house, creative pursuits and hobbies may lead to financial gain, while speculative investments or children's needs could impact spending. It sounds kind of vague, but also specific at the same time. So in terms of love, passionate, transformative love affairs are likely. Ooh la la. Creative expression becomes a powerful outlet for emotional intensity. Your creative talents could lead to major career breakthroughs. Children or mentoring roles may also be central. This transit invites you to explore your true desires, embrace joy, and rediscover your inner child. Why? Because this is in your 5th house. The 5th house governs love, creativity, pleasure, making time for profound personal and artistic expression. So perhaps connecting with your inner child too. Scorpio. It is your season right now. Any Scorpios here?
Scorpio rising.
Okay, good. Yeah, so let's pay attention to these things for sure and how it affects you in those ways. So for Scorpios, family assets, property investments, or home-based ventures may undergo significant transformations. Family dynamics and past patterns may transform your approach to relationships. You'll crave emotional security and deeper connections. Success may come through real estate, home-based ventures, or addressing foundational issues. Healing ancestral wounds and redefining your sense of home are key themes. Why? Because it's in your 4th house. The 4th house focuses on home and family. So more of like really fortifying the emotional foundation of things for you. Sagittarius, any Sages here? If you are, again, you don't have to say anything, but like if you are, cool. So financial opportunities will stem from communication skills, short-term projects, or ventures in writing and media. Communication becomes central in your relationships. You may experience transformative conversations that change your perspective on love. Writing, teaching, or media work may transform your career path. Local connections hold unexpected opportunities. This is a time to embrace the power of words and redefine how you share your ideas. Because this is in your 3rd house. Your 3rd house is all about communication, or there's a huge emphasis on communication. Communication, learning, empowering through the art of connection, and one way to connect is through your throat chakra and communicating. Capricorn. Major shifts in income and personal values will redefine your approach to money, urging investments in forward-thinking industries. Self-worth becomes a cornerstone of your relationships. Financial stability might influence your partnerships. Profound changes in your approach to wealth and material resources will occur. You may become a master of managing value. This transit challenges you to value yourself and align your resources with your true purpose. So the 2nd house deals with finances and self-worth, encouraging of death and rebirth in this area, right? Very specific. Aquarius, your transformation may lead to wealth creation through ventures tied to authenticity and individual expression. Your magnetism intensifies, drawing deep, transformative relationships, and others will see you as powerful and enigmatic. You're entering a period of personal reinvention, which will have ripple effects in your professional life. This is your era to embrace profound personal transformation and step into your authentic power. Why? Why is this so centralized on the ego of self? Because it's in the 1st house. The 1st house is about identity, self-expression, and being your true authentic self, right? So honoring your authenticity. And so for Aquarii, that's what the focus is going to be. Pisces. And so this is the last one. This is in the 12th house. Subconscious beliefs about money and abundance may shift, paving the way for breakthroughs in finances or spiritual careers. Subconscious patterns and relationships come to the surface. Spiritual connections may dominate your love life. Work in healing, spirituality, or behind the scenes roles could transform your path. This is a period of inner awakening and releasing deeply buried fears. Why? Because this is in the 12th house. The 12th house governs spirituality, the subconscious. So you know how we were talking about Pluto is the god of the underworld, right? It's like Hades is the god of the underworld. So in particular, because Pluto is so heavy in mystery, in the shadows, This particular one is for Pisces, it's in your 12th house, which is also about what's in the subconscious, what's hidden. So this is doubling down in that area. So it really, really encourages Pisces to dig deep, do the shadow work, and create healing. But also too, spirituality, huge shift in spirituality is also going to take place for Pisces. So that's it. That's everything. Before I kind of open up the floor for anybody, if there's any like discussion, it's like I wanted to leave some time for that too. I just wanted to also say that I will be having an upcoming class. I know everybody's been like, where the fudge have you been? So I apologize that it's taken so long, but I will be having a class. This one's going to be in person, and it's called Reflections. It's like we take a really deep introspective look at this last year. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's not an easy class. It's not an easy class because we really look deeply into a shit ton of things, and it's all prompted by introspective like inquiry. So of course I'm going to start it the way I start all my classes, with the chakra cleansing in a guided meditation, and we're going to end like usual with mystical hypnotherapy, astral travel fun thing where we bring it all together. So that will be happening in the end of December, because we're going to look back at the year. If you're interested, or have any feedback for me, like if you have any particular subjects that you would like me to do, like you're more than welcome to email me at qchevents@gmail.com, and that way I can get your feedback. It's really helpful. I mean, if anybody's like, oh, really do a class on this or that, like your feedback is super helpful for me to know what do the people want? What is the collective need right now? And then I love doing these things because it just it brings me joy and happiness to create community in the, in the spirit of Aquarius, like to bring community together, especially about these kind of esoteric topics. But if anybody, because I know for some people it's important to do this, like there's an energy exchange, and if it's a free class, you don't have to donate anything in any way, but I know some people would like to have a balance of energetic karma. So if you would like to, you're more than welcome to donate anything through Zelle or Apple Pay. My business account is connected, Astral Family Therapy. So, okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to stop sharing, and then to open up the floor for any kind of discussion.
Can you put your slides back to the Aquarius slide?
Sure, yes.
Thanks.
This one?
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything that you guys want to review or talk about or have questions about or want to add? Or want to see a different slide? Okay.
Jzeela,
Madeline, oh,
sorry.
sorry, 1 second, Madeline. Is it okay if I stop the share?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That way I can see everybody better. Okay. Yes, Summer.
Hey, I'd like to go back to the Taurus because that really hit me. I've been looking at mine and really kind of intuitively, a lot of stuff has been coming up for me as far as where this is all going. And I have, if you guys look at your own charts, I have Pluto. So it seems to me that Jzeela has it from our ascendant, right? That's where your ascendant, and then you're looking at the houses, and then you can look at your own natal chart. And so Pluto is natally going into my 4th house and then going to trine up to Taurus. So so I'm going to have Pluto trining so much goodness here for the next 20 years. And so when you put up that slide, it was like, oh my gosh, all those things that I've been intuiting, that you did a great job. You really did a great job pulling out these individual aspects. I just got to commend you there. You did a great job. So can you put Taurus back up there on the horoscope that you pulled? Because I'm a Gemini sun, but I have a ton of Taurus. So actually, no, I'm sorry. It's going to square my Taurus and trine my Gemini. So I don't know how. Yes, this is what I got to take a screenshot of this. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
When you're done with that one, would you put Scorpio up?
Sure. I can also email it to the group if you guys want to
Yeah,
go back
that'd
and
be great.
look at it, because I know there's a ton of information on here, and um it's a lot to digest. So
Yeah.
so I get it. But yeah, I'm and then I'm also gonna put the recording on YouTube as well. So other people who weren't able to make it today can still access it. But again, like, there's just so many layers to this. And when you look at it from, and I'm not even gonna pretend, Summer, I don't even understand like 90% of what you said. I can't claim, I'm not an astrologer. I'm super interested in these things. And there's, like, I'm sure everybody else can kind of piece together too, that there's, even from the way that you said what you said, there's so much more to learn. Like, there's so many different aspects that when they all converge, it paints this huge, really amazing picture of what, like, who we are and how we move through life and how things can affect us. And it's very, very intense and beautiful all at the same time. There's definitely so much to learn. Like, I could do a whole presentation on the houses, but I wanted to keep it kind of like as succinct as possible, like to address everything within an hour. So, but yeah, I'm more than happy I can email this to everybody, and that way you have access to it, or you can watch it on YouTube later.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So Pluto was in Aquarius last March through June, and
Mhm.
then, it went back to Capricorn. I'm curious if you personally saw any of these themes yourself when it was in Aquarius for that short time.
That's a good question. You mean like in my personal life, or do you mean like globally, or?
Or both.
I think, to be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention too much about like how it was on like a global standpoint or like societally, because it was like I hadn't done the deep dive yet as to how all of these things like converge, right? I do remember because at that time I recall that my spirit team was like tapping on my shoulder saying, pay attention to this, pay attention to this. So I was like, my ears were perked up in a sense, right? What I did feel energetically, because I can't speak to exact like events, but energetically what I felt was a huge how do I put this, like a flow, or a huge flow of energy moving through. Like, it wasn't stagnant. It was like, in that little brief period, it felt like, I hope I'm making sense, almost like a huge gust of wind, but energetically things were moving, and then it felt like it slowed down, and now it feels like things are picking back up again, like the wind is picking back up, but in terms of vibration and energy, like things in terms of transformation, change, it's happening. But it feels like with Aquarius, and in that little blip, it felt to me energetically like things were more spacious, vibrationally, energetically. I don't know if that makes sense, if it's translating from what I was experiencing to words.
That makes a lot of sense because I kind of felt similarly, like March from June of 2023, like so much just happened and then it just kind of stopped. And then I
Yeah.
kind of, I'm feeling that again too. So that's interesting that you had something very similar.
Thank you for your feedback. And that's the other thing that I really appreciate about having community or coming and having these kinds of discussions is like, oftentimes we have these experiences individually and if we don't have a network of people to talk about these things that may sound kind of weird or strange, then we just think it's just us, right? But then when we have a group and we talk about it, it's like, oh, so I wasn't alone in that. So it wasn't just me. Like, for example, one other thing that I don't know if anyone else is experiencing as well as anyone else have they had really shitty sleep lately? Has anyone have a really hard time falling asleep or staying asleep lately? And not because of anything that they can actually pinpoint. Like, oh, I had too much caffeine, right? Okay, I see a lot of people nodding their heads. It's like that energy is picking up. It's being like, imagine like a slingshot, right? When it's being pulled back all the way, there's all this tense energy and then catapulted. So it feels like we're in the like phase before we catapult forward. So the way that, and when I confer, like when I speak to my spirit guides, I ask them too, like, what is going on? Is it just me? Because I don't think it's just me. So seeing so many people nod their heads as well, like, yeah, sleep is going to be, because our astral body, our physical body, our emotional body, mental body, everything's going to be affected. It's not just let's read this horoscope thing, right? It's like, no, we're genuinely, we're going to be feeling these shifts in our being. So yeah. Okay, again, I encourage you, if you guys didn't see my email, it was qchevents@gmail.com. I would so appreciate if you guys want me to do anything specific, like teach a class or talk about, I don't know, like anything that is of interest to you that you want community. That's kind of my intention and goal here too, is to create like the space where we can talk about these things and feel like we're not alone. Like I'll give you an example. Awakening symptoms, signs of like what it's like to go through an awakening or to go through a dark night of the soul. Like these are topics that I know I'm interested in, but I don't know if other people even want like that would be useful or beneficial for people to have a space to talk about that. So if you feel so inclined, I would really appreciate you could text me the things, or if you want to email me at qchevents@gmail.com. That would be really, really helpful so I could get your feedback. And then the other last thing before we close, because I really wanted to keep it short to like an hour, because I know it's Sunday and people have things to do, is also that if you are interested in the class, in the reflections class, shoot me an email or text me, because based on the number of people, I'm trying to figure out which location to have it at, but it's definitely going to be in Northern California, because I'm in like the Sacramento, Roseville area. So it'll be here. And if so people can plan to come. So yeah, any other final thoughts, questions, or anything before we close?
Do you have like a date for that reflections class, or like, I guess?
Roughly, I was thinking December 20th. If I could look at my calendar, I believe that's the date that I was like, I think it's a Friday. But also two dates, if that doesn't work for you, it is a Friday, December 20th. That's sort of what I was thinking. Friday evening. Yes, I did. This class was, I posted this on my meetup. There's Quantum Conscious Healing has a meetup.com page. So if you want to find out about things, it's posted on there. And then also I have an email list. So if anybody wants to be added to that email list where you get, notifications about these things, please, you can email me at qchevents@gmail.com if you want to be added to that list, or you can go on my website at quantumconscioushealing.com and add yourself to the list. And that way I'll get it. Either way, I'll put you on the list. I'm so grateful that you guys showed up. Oh, that's interesting. So the person who's messaging me, just send me your email address in the chat and I'll copy and paste and I'll add whatever your updated email address is. But thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Are there any other final questions or anything before we go, or comments? Right back at you. Thank you guys for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Remember to always come from a place of love. And I'm so grateful I got to see and exchange energy with all of you guys today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.